Previously on X-Men. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and the third real sneak peek for the April update. The leader of the X-Men receives a classic look in the new 6-year anniversary update. And yes, of course, it's the bald man himself. No, I will not be shaving my head in honor of Professor X, but he is going back to his roots. He's sitting down. He's going to be in the chair that we all know and love him from when we were first introduced to the Cerebral One. I'm very excited, as you can tell. So there's the sneak peek. Professor X, I was going to say Mr. X, is about to get a brand new uniform that takes him back to the chair where he started his journey in the comics and basically everything besides the new reboot with Krakoa and House of X. So let's actually watch the sneak peek now and take a look at what is that in the background? I just noticed that, those buildings. Anyways, this is the Xavier Mansion, of course, the mansion for exceptionally gifted students. You can see it's been attacked. I think this is just from the original Epic Quest back in 2017. But yeah, it's there. And then we zoom in on the window, and who is in the window? But of course, Xavier himself. And then we get this really, really cool homage of Xavier going through the minds of all the other mutants. And of course, it immediately reminds you of dun 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 dun, right? Because they go through and it shows you all the different characters. You get Wolverine, you get Rogue, you get Storm, you see, and they cut through all of them in a very similar fashion to what we see in the sneak peek. So I really, really like that. Now, for those of you that wanted to pause and be sleuthy, extra sleuthy, right after Gambit, I believe, right before Jubilee, you can get a really nice look at our boy. He's finally going to take off that mask, that helmet. Basically, he's walking around with Cerebro. He's going to take that off, and he's going to show the world his beautiful bald mug. So yeah, Professor X is getting a uniform. This is huge for multiple reasons. One, my childhood. I literally grew. He was basically my Saturday morning dad. He was leading the X-Men, giving out wise, sagely advice like, Wolverine, Logan, bring me a cheese pizza, and many other things. And he basically guided the X-Men. Honestly, I cannot exaggerate it. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that he was one of my favorite characters. And he did all that from his classic, iconic yellow floaty chair. And it seems like they're bringing the classic, iconic yellow floaty chair. So we're going to be yellow floaty chairing through World Boss Ultimate and World Boss Legend, rolling over Null's corpse and Mephisto's corpse and all this amazing stuff. Hopefully, they don't decrease his movement speed. If anything, they should increase his movement speed. But yeah, I'm very, very excited for what this means. Over on the official forums, we have the following. Before leading mutant kind to Krakoa, so they acknowledge that he looks different now because he's got, you know, duplicate of Phantom X's body, whatever. Their leader, Professor X, embraced his powers in a classic look. It's so classic. Revisit his famous attire with even more powerful mind control abilities. Oh, he's getting a buff, baby. It's not just for the looks. It's also for the powers. Leader of the mutants. Professor X is arriving with a look that our agents are familiar with. So deeply familiar with. And I absolutely love it. I cannot tell you guys how much I love it. So we actually speculated on this. When Professor X got added to the game, the first thing everybody said was, okay, it's really cool that we're getting the House of X look for him, and this is the look that he has now, and it's amazing, and he's running around, and it's all really, really cool. But he is most known for being in the chair, being in the wheelchair after Magneto paralyzed him. Spoiler alert. So, yeah, this is really, really exciting that we're going to be getting the classic wheelchair look for Professor X. On top of that, he is not really a good leader for the mutants now. But I know, I like, and I can sort of guess, my guess anyways, I want to speculate, that they want to make him into a leader for the X-Men. Because right now, the only good leadership we have for the X-Men specifically is actually Kitty Pryde. She's actually the leader of the X-Men much later on, but she has the Headmistress Pryde leadership, which is the 55 all attack and the 6% crit rate. Really good, and it's mutant allies. She's a much better leader for the mutants than Professor X is, which doesn't make any sense, right? Even Magneto has a better leadership for the mutants with the mutant savior 45% all attack. So I don't know what we're going to see from Professor X. If they want to make this uniform more PvP focused, then they could give him a leadership that's similar to Luke Cage's leadership now, where, you know, all mutant allies will get maybe energy reflect or energy damage immunity, and they're going to get debuff immunity or something like that. Or maybe they're just going to improve his leadership and make it even more PvE focused. I wouldn't mind that either, right? Maybe all mutant allies are going to get 40% all attack or more. The mind resist, although it makes sense because he's a telepath, I think it's kind of annoying. I would prefer to see something like all resistances, right? Even if it was a smaller amount, like 20 or 30% all resistance. All resistance is actually kind of helpful for PvP because you have quite a few elemental damage characters, most notably Jean Grey, but yeah, she's there. But actually, it's developing into a really helpful stat for actual content. You know, you've got, I think Scarlet Witch does mind damage, I think, in her World Boss Ultimate. And then Mephisto does almost purely fire damage, right? So that could be really, really helpful. As far as the skills go, it's all going to be mind-based. So, you know, I just want to picture some really beautiful stuff a la Molecule Man. Professor X already has some of the best-looking skills in the game anyways, you know, with his 6th skill, 3rd skill, and 5th skill. I think those ones are really, really cool. So whatever they do with him for improving that, I'm down for that, right? It doesn't really matter. I trust them. You can see the X there at the end. Really cool stuff. If you honestly slow it down and go frame by frame, there's so much to pick apart in terms of the level of detail. Boom, the X. And even with this one, you see those sort of tortured minds popping up, really emphasizing that he's getting into your head and he's making things hurt. And then, of course, he's got, honestly, still to this day, one of the most gorgeous Tier 3 animations. It's pretty simple, but it's 100% effective. He brings you into Cerebro and he just punishes you, and you see the world rotating. These are the types of animations that I think the game needs to embrace more, because these ones are not going to be as punishing on your device, right? It's not like tons of flashing, strobing lights, but it's still gorgeous and impactful, and it really feels like an ultimate skill. You know, it's encapsulating the whole screen. It's changing it from day to night, and it really reflects an iconic part of the character's personality. In this case, it's Cerebro, which is actually Cerebro Scan, right? So, man, I don't know. They could definitely make him stronger for PvE content by just dialing up all the numbers. He's honestly pretty good now. He's got accumulation. He's got defensive abilities with the invincibility here and the guard hit here. He's got the accumulation. He's got the heal, right? He's got accumulation there on 5 on Mind Over Matter. I thought he had accumulation on 3. Okay. Anyways, he's got basically everything stacked on his 5. He's got the mind resist. He's got the heal. He's got the invincibility, and he's got the accumulation. I really thought, it's a weird like Mandela effect, I really thought the accumulation was on his 3rd skill, not on his 5th skill. Interesting. But he actually doesn't have that much for Null and Mephisto specifically. So it'll be interesting to see if they add anything new, because some of his abilities actually pop up above Null's head, the little white sort of lines, but it doesn't do anything to Null when he's in the chair. It doesn't actually impede him. He doesn't mind control Null. But maybe with this new uniform, who knows? The other thing that we have to get into, the elephant in the room that everyone's going to be asking about, is how are we going to upgrade his uniform? That's sort of the only downside to epic characters like Professor X getting uniforms, is that he is a Danger Room character. So currently, the only way to get biometrics for Professor X is to play Danger Room and cross your fingers. That's all the advice I have for you. Play Danger Room, cross your fingers, and maybe you can get bios. But that is actually not a realistic solution for anyone. Now, I'm not the biggest or the most consistent Danger Room player, I will admit that, but once upon a time I was pretty into Danger Room. I was in the top 100 for a few weeks, and I have gotten, to this day, let's take a look here, I think it's 4 biometrics for Professor, 14 biometrics for Professor X. Nowadays, with uniforms costing 1,050 crystals, you need 930, I think it is, almost 1,000 bios of a single character to get their uniform from normal to mythic. Now, by and large, the uniform itself is going to provide you with the biggest benefit, right? Even if you can upgrade a uniform from normal to mythic, getting the uniform is in a lot of ways extremely transcending. So you take, for example, Dormammu. Yeah, getting the uniform to mythic is nice, and getting all these extra stats is really helpful, don't get me wrong, but take the uniform off and you're gonna cry, because he's like it's like night and day. And that's pretty much how uniform upgrades have been for the past 2-3 years. They're night and day for these characters, like Daredevil's uniform, Luke Cage. Like, take any of the recent uniforms, it's all the same. right? These characters go literally from 0 to hero. We started to see it with characters like Winter Soldier back in 2018. It's actually 3 years in a row. So, you know, I'm not too worried about not everyone being able to upgrade his uniform to Mythic by grinding. It would be nice if they introduced another way to get his biometrics, or it'd be cool if they had biometric drops from Danger Room to celebrate his uniform. So, you know, maybe you would get 1 or 2 bios a day, or 1 or 2 bios per win 5 times a day, so you could grind up 5 or 10 bios per day, and then they could advertise some crystal purchases where you can get uniform tickets. Now, there are a few different ways to get uniform upgrade tickets. We just had the Luke Cage chest, and the month before we had the not the Luke Cage, so Luke Cage chest, the Dawn of X chest, and those ones can drop the regular uniform tickets that go from advanced to mythic. And then, of course, there is the Mega Mythic Uniform Upgrade ticket. So for this one, you can get 1 for free, I think, from Shadowland, if you can get to a high enough stage. I don't know, it's like stage 80 or stage 85. It's a one-time first clear reward. So that is a way to farm one of those up and then use that on Professor X. Otherwise, you got to go over to the store, and you know the deal. You got to shell out some cash, and you got to buy it. It's actually right there. So for those of you that spend money on this game, you can plan ahead if you want to be able to max out Professor X's uniform day 1, and you can just do that. Keep in mind, you will not be able to use one of these tickets for Mr. Fantastic's uniform, and then you wouldn't want to use one of these for Iron Man, because Iron Man will be very, very easy to get biometrics from. So you sort of have the whole rainbow of uniform upgrades, right? For Professor X, his is going to be the most expensive to upgrade in terms of real cash or in-game items. Mr. Fantastic's uniform is going to be the most kind of annoying to upgrade, because you're going to have to use black antimatter, and you're going to have to spend more gold, and you're going to have to grind up more uniform XP. And then on the easy spectrum, on the opposite side of Professor X, you have Iron Man, which is by far the easiest and the fastest to farm up to Mythic completely for free. So it's kind of interesting that they're doing that. So yeah, that's basically my take on the uniform for Professor X. There's also a possibility that we see the return of his Danger Room pack for 4,500 crystals. Maybe they'll have a uniform Danger Room pack for Professor X. That's a different price, maybe like a different amount of crystals, and it'll give you the bios you need to max out his uniform to Mythic. Who knows? This is literally uncharted territory, so we have to just wait and see how they handle it. But yeah, definitely my advice to you has always been save all of your uniform upgrade tickets for these ultra rare characters. We may have never thought that the Danger Room characters were going to get uniforms, but here we are, new day. Now, the other thing I want to talk about briefly is the fact that it's very clear now that this is most likely, again, I don't want to talk for sure because I don't know, so I don't want to speculate in a way that sounds like I know what I'm talking about with 100% certainty. But yeah, 3 uniforms, Professor X, well, Iron Man, Mr. Fantastic, Professor X, all members of the Illuminati. That leaves, if you're keeping track, that leaves Namor as a shoe-in. If this is an Illuminati update, Namor is pretty much guaranteed to get a uniform because he is like a founding member of the Illuminati in the game, in the comics, excuse me. Now, Doctor Strange, bro, all these prefixes, Professor, Doctor, Mister, annoying. Anyways, Doctor Strange and Black Bolt, it's very unlikely they do get uniforms, even though they are original members of the Illuminati, because they just got uniforms in the last 6 months, right? So there's that. And then for BP, for Black Panther, I would personally love if Black Panther got a uniform. There's Illuminati uniforms, there's the Infinity Gauntlet version of Black Panther, but he's not always a member of the Illuminati. He's a member of the Illuminati later on, I believe, but at least at first, I don't think he is in it as part of the team. There's also been a few members that have cycled in at different times, like Captain America and Beast, Hank McCoy, but Beast is also not tier 3. So maybe we get Beast as a tier 3 of the update. Again, if we do get that, then it's like 100% full send Illuminati update. But we still don't have any language in any of the sneak peeks that hints at the Illuminati. We don't even have language in the sneak peeks that hints at them teaming up, right? It talks about each of these characters individually, like, oh, Mr. Fantastic, and he wants to make his world better. Iron Man wants to be so special, yada, yada, yada. Professor X, Krakoa, leader of the mutants. It sort of isolates them in a way rather than bringing them together. So I'm still like only 70% sure that it's an Illuminati update. I'm still 30% like, maybe this is just a curveball. Maybe they're just trying to trick us. or not trick us, but sort of, you know, maybe they're just throwing stuff at the wall, which I'm actually fine with because all the stuff they're throwing through the wall is absolutely amazing. 3 really popular leader type characters of 3 different factions: Mutants, Fantastic Four, Avengers, and they're all getting reworks, and 2 of them desperately needed it. I'm hype. I'm very, very hype. My childhood is coming to life once again, which is one of the reasons why I picked up this game and one of the reasons why I've stuck with this game for 6 years. Hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.